Can Chile do the same and win their first Copa America? What a mind to win it! And Chile is champion!
Welcome to the Chilean Football Show on the Red One TV.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Chilean Football Show. I'm your host Thomas Neff, and joining me is my co-host Matias Cres. Today we are joined by Yona Rothfield, a professional player for Alex Italiano. She's also played for the Chilean women's team in all levels, youth and the senior women's team. She joins us to speak about the historic qualification to the Tokyo Olympics, where Chile beat Cameroon 2-1 in the first leg and drew 0-0 in the second leg. Both games happened in Turkey. Yona, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for the invite. I'm glad that I can talk to you about this and I can also practice my English.
Yes, of course. So obviously lots to get to. First question is, what did you make of the national team's performance against Cameroon over the two legs?
It's hard to make any kind of analysis, trying not to be emotional about it because, as you said, I was in the national team and I've never stopped feeling part of it. So, it's really hard for me to watch the games and I got really emotional, not only because they are making history for us, but also because we've been fighting to have all the conditions and everything that they have right now. So it's really fulfilling to see your friends and your team to get to have that, to seize that and to keep making history. That's really beautiful. And about the game, I think it was a really hard team to play against. And I think the players put all their hearts in the field and they could hold off their attack because they were better than us in physical aspects. They were faster, they were stronger, and they didn't have all the space and time to think and to play comfortably. And that's thanks to all the work that the Chilean team made.
And before the tie, actually, I picked out Dani Zamora and Francisca Lara as maybe two players to watch out for, but it ended up being, the forwards had a quieter couple of games, and it ended up being, like you said, the defenders and the defensive work that really stood out to keep Cameroon at bay. I thought in particular, Carla Guerrero was amazing in defence, marshalling defence. Who could you pick out maybe as one or two key players over the course of the two legs?
I think there was a lot of effort. I can't stop mentioning Javiera Toro, Valentina Diaz. They made a lot of sacrifice, and especially in the midfield, Paloma Lopez, Karen Araya. They played a beautiful game. Maybe not having all the space to play and create that they are used to, but they made a lot of effort to try to stop their midfield to create games, and they didn't let them be comfortable on the field. And I think that was the key to win those games, or to keep the tie. I would mention, I love Francisca Lara because her game maybe not always it's as shiny as you expect of that player, but she runs the field like no one else. If you see all the data, she's the one that I think in the World Cup she's one of the players that ran the most in Chile. And I think in these games she had a lot of work too. Maybe not to the people that doesn't know how our team works, but if you know, you can see that she was making key movements.
Now we obviously talked about how big is this for the growth of the Chilean women's game. Obviously, this is an Olympic year. 2019 was a World Cup year. How different is this team compared to the one 2 years ago?
I think it's more mature. They have all this experience. You can tell, but how they. I don't know if you guys realize how calm they were. You can see them in the interviews and how they talk, and I'm really close to some of them, so I was talking to them during the tournament and the qualifications, and you can see how they are already used to these big scenarios and to deal with this big pressure. And I think that's the difference that you can see from 2 years ago. And it's a process that all of these players have been 10, 20 years playing and having like the worst conditions possible, and they still always behave really professionally, and that's something that I admire. And I think that was the key for all the success this team has, because they have behaved professionally even in the time that we didn't have like the conditions that we needed to be professionals, and that makes the difference. And it also makes you dream how much more they could be if we have had those conditions before.
Yeah, I completely agree, actually. That was one thing that really stood out to me over the 2 legs, was just how like you said, how professional they were in their setup in the game from minute 1 to minute 90 in both games. So tactically astute. And, you know, I actually had the national team as slight underdogs going into that game. But, I mean, throughout, it was the first time I've really watched a performance where I was watching it and I felt so solid and so comfortable with the way they defended and the way they played. Obviously, that's a huge, like you said, improvement from even the World Cup in 2019. Going forward now, looking towards the Olympics first and foremost, how important do you think this kind of qualification is to the continuing progress of the women's national team?
It's amazing. It's a dream come true, not only for the players. It's something that even in our best dreams we couldn't have thought this was possible, to be qualified for the World Cup and have this chance to win the qualification for the Olympics and get it. And in the World Cup the participation was awesome, considering that we were on the it was the hardest group. Like we ended being with the number 1 and number 2, or 3, Sweden. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's, for the personal part, it's something that we always dream, but knew it was almost impossible. And in the other hand, this is gonna help a lot, all the work and the fight that we're doing here. We're trying to make everyone understand that we need to have the same conditions, that we deserve the same conditions, and that we don't have them right now. And this helps that, because this gives us visibility. And this is the best scenario, because you don't always have this. You don't always have the chance to prove the world that you have what it takes to be on these stages. When your own country and your own federation is not giving you the best conditions to be there, they're always saying, win something first and then we are going to give you, and it doesn't make any sense, because how are you gonna get on the best positions if you don't have the conditions to work as hard to get there? And we have this this dream team, these professional players that have, they have no limits. They don't know any limitation, and they only know how to write history, and that's what they're doing. So I think this is it's gonna keep giving us strength to keep changing this, because this is a cultural problem. This is something that we need to change in the minds of everyone in here that have always think and work for football or soccer, understanding this from the perspective that is a male sport, and that doesn't make sense at all, but that's how it is in South America.
Just to pick up on the back of that, obviously we spoke a couple of years ago ahead of the World Cup for the feature that I did on the Chilean women's football team, and you obviously spoke to me about those, like you said, those bad experiences you had and the lack of support that you were given by the federation in particular. compared to the treatment that the men got. How much, obviously, just explain to us a bit how much the federation has improved that support since you were there, but then also how much more they still need to do to kind of, like you said, put it onto a par with the way they treat the men's team.
Yeah. Oh, that's not I don't think there's an easy way to answer that, because 5 years ago, when we created ANJUF, which is the National Soccer Association, Players Association in Chile, we have like no support at all. Not from the federation, not from the sports ministry or any authority. No one was taking care of us, or working for us. And that's why we decided to create this, and we start working with the authorities. We start reaching people and reaching everyone and trying to make this issue like known, because no one even knew that we had a national team or that Colo-Colo and Universidad de Chile had their female team. They didn't know, so it was a hard fight. And now, yeah, it has changed a lot. And from the World Cup, I think the major change was made on 2017 or 18. That's when the federation start to pay attention to what we were saying, and we start working with them head to head and trying to change a lot, because we needed to change like structural problems. Women's soccer was inside like the federation. It's weird in Chile, so women's soccer was in this space between young soccer and like young national teams, and it didn't make sense, because we weren't part of that. So our first ask for the federation was to create like a single unit of women's soccer, so you can have at least one person working 24/7 thinking how to develop women's soccer and how to solve all these problems that we had. That was the first step. And then we told them, well, we need to reactivate the national team because we haven't been playing for 2 years. We dropped from the FIFA rankings. So how do you expect to make progress if we don't have our national teams that is the face of the women's soccer in Chile? And we need to bring a kind of tournament here to make a big step and make everyone realize we have a team, we have a good team, and that would help everyone. And then they trust us, they trust in the project, and they brought Copa America, and we know how that story ends. So I think it's been a work that's been done year to year. It's been getting stronger every year. I think it's getting stronger also because society is getting involved. There's the feminist movement that also gave us strength, gave us support, allow us to make this issue more visible. And we expect this kind of work continues. Now we're working with different authorities, the sports ministry, the women and gender equity ministry, or the male union that is working head to head with us from the beginning. I think that's the only way to move forward. Like this is such a huge problem. It's so rooted in our culture, in our minds, in our I don't even know how to describe it, but it's so deep that we need to attack it from every angle possible, and we need everyone to be speaking about it, to be talking about it, to be questioning everything. And that's the only way, at least I see, that we can try to solve this and try to reach to the other teams, to the other countries that they've been working on women's soccer for a long time now, and we are really far behind that.
Do you expect the Federation NFP to line up some friendlies in June or July ahead of the tournament to prepare well?
Yeah, I mean that's what we need to. But also, if we weren't going through what we're going through with the with this pandemic, yeah, I would be not waiting for, but expecting to have those. But now I don't know what to expect, because, you have to be really conscious that the moment that we're living maybe is not allowing us to make international friendlies. It's not that easy. But I don't know. I think we have already made that the first part of the job, and we don't have to tell the federation that they have to do what. I think they know what they have to do, and they will I hope they will find the best solution to make the best road from here to the games, and to be prepared. But that's out of our hands,
Just to pick up on what you were saying, sort of about the hindrance to progress being sort of due to this societal issue, and sexism being embedded in society in Chile. A lot of that is obviously the media, and how the media portrays and covers women's football obviously comes into that a lot in Chile. And for a long time, it obviously felt as though we've been making progress recently. But then I'm not sure if you saw the headline this week in Lun, Las Últimas Noticias, about Katlin Stevens. You see something like that, and it's quite demoralising, because you can kind of get swept up in the thought that we've been making progress. Yeah. And then you see something like that. How do you weigh up an incident like that against the progress we've made? Do you see it as maybe just like a blip on the improvement? Or is it still something that's really deep-rooted issues around sexism that still need fixing?
Yeah, the last one, for sure. It's a constant reminder that not to be too happy, because all the progress that we're doing is just a small step. This is a big fight. It's a long fight. It's not something that's gonna change in 5 or 10 years. It's gonna take longer, because there's people that even though if you can sit with them and explain them for 2 hours, everything, they are not willing to listen. They're not willing to change their minds. They grew up thinking that football or soccer was a male sport, and that we don't have anything to do with this. So you're not gonna change those minds. That's something that you and everyone need to realize. And it was hard at the beginning, because you feel powerless, and it's so unfair, and it's so stupid. But you realize you're working for the future. You're working with the young people, with the next generation. You're trying to shape their minds, not to be as narrow-minded as our generation was. That's the future. That's what we're expecting. So yeah, we have to endure those. And if you wanna know like the reality, you just have to go look for the comments on any women's soccer news. You will see like how people are still like, I don't know how they live with so much hate inside. But that's the truth, and that's something that we're expecting to change. But it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be something that's gonna change tomorrow. It's gonna take a while, but we're doing it. I think everything goes back to education. You don't born being a racist or homophobic or narrow-minded or have gender issues. That's something that you were taught and you learn, and that's something that you can fix and you can relearn, and hopefully we can stop those bad teaching to our children and to our people, because it doesn't make any sense. Like it's for me, it's so weird that it's 2021 and we're still fighting or still debating if women should be paid the same amount for the same work than men. It's disgusting even to say it, but sadly that's the world that we were born into, and we need to be making all the effort that we can to change it and to make it better for everyone.
Have you noticed a shift in not just media but public perception and support towards women's football? I mean, this is just like an anecdotal view on my part, but if I go back and I would think to the comments underneath the posts on La Roja on Instagram, even during the World Cup and before the World Cup in 2019, it seemed back then there was a lot more hate than if you go onto the Instagram account now. The vast majority of the messages, it feels, are more supportive. Is that a shift that you've seen happen as well, not just, on social media, but, in person in terms of, stadium support, that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what gives us strength. Like, even if it's small, it is a change. And like 5 years ago, no one was talking about the women's soccer team. Now everyone is talking about it. Everyone wants an interview with Cristiane. Everyone wants to know what they're doing, what are their next steps, how is everything in Chile. Not only local, but international too. They're talking about us, and that's huge. And yes, the media has a lot to do with it. As you mentioned before, like, there's still a lot of room for error, and there's a lot of things that we're gonna need to be fixing in this path that we're taking. But people are more awake and are closer to us, are closer to women's soccer, and they are constantly questioning everything. And that's how we learn. Like, I don't think Loon is gonna make the same mistake again, because they have the player herself calling them. And she had a lot of support, and so we're not alone anymore. They can't do whatever they want. They can't talk about us like for 5 seconds and then talk about Alexis Sanchez's dogs for 10 minutes. They're gonna get called about it, and that's the beauty of it. Like, we are shaping how we are understanding sports and how we are understanding soccer, and that's a huge step for us, even if we're just like starting this path. But it's a lot for someone that, at least for me, like, I remember we went to a World Cup, even though it was under 17, we went to a World Cup. I went to a World Cup. I scored a goal in a World Cup. And I remember when we came back, it wasn't a big deal. Like, we were on a newspaper, like in a small corner, behind something. And then you see, like, 5 or 6 years from that, the guys under 17 went to a World Cup, and it was like a huge party here. They were invited to La Moneda. They were invited to every program. They were in every newspaper, and it was like, yeah, this is it. This is what we're fighting about. This is the change that we want to do. And I hope we qualify for an Olympic Games. If that would be the men's team, I don't know, they would declare, I don't know, a national day for women's soccer. That's the fight that we're giving. And I think you can watch it from every angle. Like, you can watch from an angle it's like really pessimistic. We are far behind that we should be. But you can look at it from the point of view that 5 years ago, no one would even care about it. We wouldn't be talking about this, and that's change, and that's the result of a big fight. So we need to be proud of that, but at the same time, we need to know that it's not enough.
I want to ask you, Chile have been drawn in Group E with the hosts, Japan, Great Britain, and Canada. Both of our countries, actually. Chile are underdogs against these sides because these two sides have been to an Olympics before, and Chile have the lowest FIFA ranking. How do you see their chances?
I think anything can happen, especially in this kind of tournaments. And yeah, we may be the underdogs. I think we always are, and I'm always rooting for the underdog. So I think we have a chance here to, everything that we make on the games is gonna be history. So I don't think I think that's on our favor. Like, there's no pressure to, like, you have to qualify, you have to do this, you have to. you have to go and do your best, and I'm sure our team is gonna make that, and I'm already proud of that. So I think we have a big chance. Maybe they are going to see us as the weak rival, so maybe we can grab them with their guard down. I don't know, but we sure have a lot to say, and I don't think that everyone thinks Chile is the weakest team. Like, I think we've proven in the World Cup and now in the qualification, like, and in all the preparation, all the friendlies, like, Chile has put the best teams against their own goal. So I think everyone's is gonna be taking care of that. I hope that we can make a surprise.
They're going to be playing 3 games in 6 days. Their first one being on July 21st and their last one being July 27th. That's a lot for a group of players. How much do you think will it matter match fitness?
A lot. I think even though in this couple games that you could notice in the second game everyone was so tired, and it was so intense, both of the games, and I think it's gonna be the same for the Olympics. So I don't know. I hope. Of course they're gonna be aware of this reality, and I think they're gonna be, I don't know, trying to simulate those conditions and try to make the players comfortable having those kind of workouts with little rest or no rest. But I think that's for everyone. That's gonna hit us, and it's gonna hit Japan, and it's gonna hit UK, and it's gonna hit Canada too. So.
And these 2 games against Cameroon actually filled me with a lot of confidence, that they could potentially progress from that group. I mean, I feel if this team played like they did, obviously that's because of experience, but if they played like they did in the 2 games against Cameroon at the World Cup in 2019, I feel they would have had a really good chance of qualifying from that group. Obviously, looking ahead, a lot of those players are going to be coming from the domestic league in Chile, the vast majority of them. Their success and their form and fitness going into that will obviously be very dependent on how the ANFP, sets up this new season. Obviously, a lot was made about the lack of support given to restarting the women's season compared to the men's season. How have you felt you've been supported during this pandemic, and what is the preparation like for this upcoming season?
I mean, for the national team, it's a whole different story. For our national league, it's not enough. Like, we've been fighting about this because we have half of the players with no tournament since last year. So it's gonna be 2 years now that they have no competition, and we know how that can hurt an athlete. And still now they have announced that we're gonna have our tournament. It's gonna start like next week. But it's only for Division A. So still Division B, it's near 450 or 500 players are gonna keep in the dark. They are kept in the dark because no one takes care of them. And this is called, I don't know if it's the federation or it's the clubs, because here, we have this weird form of federation that it's composed, and they respond to the president committee council. I don't know how to translate, but every president of the club, they have this council and they vote. And the ANFP, which is the federation, they respond to that. So they are looking for their own interest. And the federation should be looking for the interest of developing soccer, in all their forms. Male, female, not only, professional male, So it's sad because we are losing a lot of great players that could be helping our national team to get stronger, because we're not having the conditions that they need to develop as players. And the ones that are called to do that are the teams, the clubs. They need to do something, and they're not doing it. So yeah, we have a great national team because it's working on their own, or everyone in the national team is part of the 2 or 3 teams that work well. And we have 800 players that could be adding themselves to this team or helping to raise the level, and we're just wasting it. So we need everything that has been done with the national team. We need that to be translated in a strong policy in our national league. And that's really hard to do because that means investment. Teams doesn't want to invest.
Now to my earlier question, obviously England ranked 6th, Japan ranked 11th, and Canada ranked 8th in the world. For the Olympics, only 18 players are allowed to go. Each national team will have to pick that amount. Internal competition will be fierce. How do you select those kind of players, considering the national team has been working with 25, 23, even 30 over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be hard work for the manager. I don't know how you make that selection. I think you try to work with all the players that you think they're fit for the tournament, and at the moment that you have to make the list, you have to have a lot of criteria. Who has more experience, who's in their best physical shape or mental health or mental shape. I don't know. If someone's injured, there's so much to consider that I don't know. It's also how are you working the games? Which formation are you using? How many midfields do you need? How many forwards do you need? I don't know. It's a lot. I don't know how everyone, how they're gonna do that decision, but I think they're the professionals, so we need to trust them, and we need to trust the players that they're gonna behave as professional as they've been behaving all their lives actually, and that hopefully we don't have any injuries that gonna keep any of those magical players away from this opportunity. And I don't know, it's hard. I remember for my last tournament, Odesur, it was also like a small team. I think it was 18. And it's weird. You don't even have like 2 per position. It's really hard because what do you do if someone gets injured and you only have 1 person? You said it. It's gonna be like game after game after game. It doesn't make sense for me. I would love to have the 22 or at least 25 or at least 22 going to a tournament. That will assure that you have like the best and you have a plan B for any situation.
Now, Matias and I were actually wondering this question. Why have so many Chilean players returned home to play in the league after a surge of players that went to Europe after a successful Copa America in 2019?
I don't know.
2018, sorry.
I think that's a question for the players that went away and came back. I can guess, but I don't know for sure. But I remember some interviews about it. They were saying it's not the best conditions away. So you don't have like a big salary or like a big soccer life outside. So if you have I don't know, your team here is offering almost the same that the team in Spain is offering you, and you have the chance to be here with your family, and work and be close to the national team, especially during this World Cup Olympic period, then I don't know, that's enough reason. But I don't know, maybe there are personal reasons, maybe there are other reasons, maybe it's not easy to go away with, like, if you're not used to, you've been living your life with your family, with your friends in the same in the same city and doing the same things and change all of that. It's not easy, especially if you go to a country that you don't know the language, and there's a lot of variables that you have to have in mind. So I couldn't answer that question.
But do you think it affects the overall quality? For example, we just saw Daniela Zamora after Copa Libertadores move over to Sweden, one of the best leagues in Europe and around the world. And there's several now that are playing in Spain particularly. Do you think it affects the level of having as many players in the top leagues?
Yeah. I mean, I think we had, since the Copa America, we had a lot of players going out, and that wasn't, if you went out, you were Christian Endler, right? We have like, I don't know, five players playing outside. That was from Copa America. It was, I don't know, 15, 20. And you could see like it was a couple of months and they were better players than you think they could be. And that's because, yeah, of course, outside there's better conditions than here. Also, even though if you go to a team that doesn't have like the same or better conditions, just being away, just focusing only in playing soccer, that makes the difference. Because here, before Copa America, no one had contracts. So everyone was studying or working or doing a lot of things before they even get to practice. And you're tired. You get to practice and you're already tired. Yeah, so that makes the difference. If you just wake up and go to bed thinking about being a soccer player and being well for practice and being well with your muscles and whatever you're eating and whatever the time that you're going to sleep, it makes a difference. It makes you a pro. And I think that's the quality that we've been seeing from everyone, and that's why we are here.
Obviously, the head coach, Jose Leiter, his contract is set to expire, as well as with his coaching staff. After this historic qualification based on merit, do you think he and his coaching staff deserve an extension?
I mean, based on merit, you couldn't argue with that, but I don't know. I think that's, I don't even have arguments to take a position on that. I think that's something that the federation needs to manage. I don't know the conditions. I don't know if they're asking for more. We don't know if they want to stay. I think their work is undeniable, but there's a lot of factors that they need to consider too. So I don't know. Personally, maybe a change in the hand will be good. Maybe not. Being so close to the Olympics, I don't know. It's not my expertise either. So I only hope that we have news about it soon, because if we're going to change, we need to change right now, because it's gonna be too close to the tournament if we change, like, I don't know, in 2 or 3 weeks. I hope whatever decision they're making, they're considering the best for the team and the best for women's soccer in general.
Well, Yona, thanks so much for joining us. Matias and I really appreciate it. Well, let's see what happens with the Chilean women's national team.
Yeah, it's gonna be a journey again. Thank you for the invite and the conversation. And it was a great space to practice my English and to talk about these issues that surprisingly here the media doesn't ask this deep. And I think it's important to go deep on these issues because, yeah, we need to be talking about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming on.
And a big thanks to Yona for joining us on today's show. And thank you for listening. If you enjoy our content, please remember to subscribe, like us, and give us your 5-star reviews wherever you get your podcasts. From Matias Gress and I, until next time, we'll see you later.